Am I the asshole for refusing to host Thanksgiving after my sister handed out a family code of conduct contract? Advice needed. This happened recently, and I'm still baffled. For context, I, 32F, have hosted Thanksgiving for my family every year since I moved into my house 5 years ago. It's always a little messy and chaotic, but that's part of the charm, right? This year, my sister, 29F, decided she wanted to help bring some order to the gathering. At first, I thought she just meant coordinating who would bring what dishes or helping with cleanup. Instead, she showed up at my house last week with printed copies of what she called a family code of conduct. She handed these out and insisted everyone read and sign them before attending Thanksgiving. Some highlights included a rule against overlapping conversations at the dinner table, with suggestions for taking turns like a respectful debate club, a ban on political or controversial topics, with her as the final arbiter of what was too heated. A dress code of smart casual, because holiday photos should reflect well on the family. Assigned seating that she claimed was based on optimal personality compatibility. She was completely serious. When I laughed and said, "You can't be serious," she accused me of not taking her efforts to improve family dynamics seriously. I told her I wasn't going to enforce a code of conduct at my house, and that if she wanted to micromanage Thanksgiving, she could host it herself. She doubled down, saying I was being ungrateful and stubborn. I canceled hosting, and now the family is mad at me. My mom thinks I should have just humored her for the day, while my brother, 35M, is refusing to go anywhere unless no one tries to draft a holiday constitution. I'm torn. Was I wrong for standing my ground, or should I have let her run the day to keep the peace?
Am I the asshole for laughing at my crying ex-husband and calling his suffering karma? My ex-husband divorced me 3 years ago. When we got married, we agreed that we weren't going to have kids. I never wanted them. He said he didn't really want them. So, yeah. 4 years into our marriage, he changed his mind, and he chose to divorce me because I wouldn't go back on our agreement and give him children. I'm not really a big believer in divorce. I was ready to be married for the rest of our lives. We had a good marriage, but I guess he didn't love me that much if he picked kids that didn't even exist over me. Right after our divorce, he almost instantly remarried. He got his new wife pregnant right away, and they have 2 kids together. In the 3 years since then, Eve finished my higher education and have accepted a high-paying job in healthcare. Life has actually been pretty good for me, and I've gotten to the point where I think I'm ready to start looking to settle down. Yesterday morning, my ex-husband showed up on my doorstep crying. I figured something pretty awful must have happened, so I let him in and got him a drink. He started going on and crying about how awful his life is. He apparently hates his 2 kids. One of them is disabled and maybe autistic, and he has no money due to the kid being so expensive. His wife yells at him all the time. She got fat after having kids and doesn't want to lose the weight. She never puts out. He can never go anywhere anymore. He said that he wants a divorce from his new wife, and he regrets ever leaving me. He asked if I would take him back, and said he learned his lesson. I couldn't help but laugh at him. It was so pitiful. His audacity also kind of astounded me. I told him that with 2 kids to support and his lack of loyalty, he is not a catch, and I definitely won't take him back, and maybe this was karma for divorcing me. He was pissed, called me an asshole, and said he thought I would be more supportive, and would at least turn him down nicely. Am I the asshole?
My girlfriend has been getting hot with my best friend behind my back, and all my friends already knew but didn't tell me, so I'm leaving them all behind because revenge is best served cold. Posted by u/visual_cow_657. I found out a month ago that the love of my life and my best friend have been having an affair for at least the past year. After looking into it more, I discovered that not only did all our friends know, but they have also been actively hanging out with them. I'm a socially awkward individual, so making friends is hard for me. I met all of them through my best friend, so I guess it's natural they chose him over me. I hate all of them. I spent 24/7 with one of them when their parent died because they didn't want to be alone and were a danger to themselves. I was there for another when her boss was harassing her, and she needed help finding a new job. I let another one stay at my place for free for 3 months because his parents kicked him out when he told them he was gay. All 6 of those douchebags have been through so much, and I was there for every one of them. Now I realize they all just kept me around to use me when they needed me, including my girlfriend and best friend. I helped him start his business when no one else would invest in him. It still hasn't really taken off, and he still asks for my time to help him with things. I've been working day and night to help her pay off the medical bills from her surgery after she had an accident. I've been out of the house for a few months because my mother was sick, and I needed to help her, but I still commute back 10 hours every weekend to make sure my girlfriend is doing alright. I went through her phone and saw all the pictures, flirty messages, and group chats. I saw them planning outings, meetings, and all that. I also read the disparaging messages about me, the I love yous and the back and forth between still loving me, leaving me, not wanting to hurt me anymore, and then realizing they still need me. They all still need me. I was pissed, and I was so angry, I scared myself. The thing about being the go-to guy for help, and being the quiet one, is that people trust you. They tell you things that can get you in a lot of trouble. I've spent the past month preparing my plan, getting everything in order to absolutely implode their lives in a way they can never recover from without someone altruistically helping them out. But who will help them? Not me. And they can't ask each other because they'll all be in the same damn boat. Everything was ready. I had pictures, videos, and text logs. The lease would have been up in December, and I wasn't renewing it. I have a new job lined up that would pay less, but I know I'll enjoy it. All my main belongings were already out, and the rest I didn't care about. I pretended to go out to my mom's, waited an hour, and then came back. Through the windows, I saw them, him and her cuddling and kissing, while the others sat around, chatting like it was just another regular day. I took a picture of that scene. I was ready to send the texts and emails, fully prepared to set their lives ablaze. I couldn't do it. No matter how much someone has hurt me, I couldn't be responsible for ruining their lives. Sure, they did those things, and I was just unearthing them, but it would still have been my decision that burned them all, and there would have been collateral damage to people who did nothing. I had come this far and felt I had to do something, so I just sent the picture in the group chat and waited. One by one, they saw the message and started panicking, I guess. Eventually, one of them spotted my car, and I saw them all look at me. I don't know what was going through their heads, panic, regret, guilt, sadness? Who knows? I started my car, and as I began to drive off, my ex came running out, barefoot in the cold, moving as fast as she could despite her condition. I don't know if she was crying from guilt or regret, but I didn't care. I drove off to my mom's. They called me countless times and sent thousands of messages. I used to read every one, and with each, I felt less for them. The messages went from asking for forgiveness to anger, to groveling, and eventually to questions about how they would handle all the things I used to do for them. I don't care. I'm getting a new number on Monday. I still get a new sobbing voicemail from my ex every 20 to 30 minutes, begging me to come back. I get texts from my ex-best friend, telling me to come back and beat him up, saying he'd sell everything he owns and give it to me. My friends are apologizing for their parts and asking to be pals again. I don't know what drives this, but they know I've read some of their messages. I think I'm over it. I don't feel angry anymore, and I'm glad I didn't stoop to their level. It would have never been satisfying for me. Update 11 months later. Hi everyone. I happen to remember this account, so I decided, why not update you all? First of all, my mom is doing much better and is even preparing for a 5K. Her goal is to complete one by 2025. Thank you for all your well wishes. As for me, I wish I could say everything is going great and that I'm doing amazing, or that my ex-friends and ex-girlfriend are doing terribly and are destitute. But life isn't a movie or a storybook, and things don't always work out the way we'd like them to. But it can get pretty close. I'm doing amazing. My new job has been one of the most fulfilling experiences of my life. Since I stopped paying for unnecessary medical bills and rent for a place I never really cared about, I've saved up so much money. I decided to finally invest that money in something worthwhile, myself. I didn't hit the gym or anything, but I did get some work done on my teeth. They had some minor discoloration, and when they shaped them for a crown and removed the layers, it looked like they were painted with Pepsi or something. That small change gave me a real boost in confidence. I've started buying more clothes and building outfits. I also began taking anti-anxiety meds, which have really brought me out of my shell. I feel so much better. And on top of that, I met someone a few weeks ago. We've just been talking through text, but it seems to be going well. I don't really know what's going on with the people I left behind. I've heard some rumors, but they came from a long chain of people, so I don't really trust them. Supposedly, my ex and ex-best friend are having a baby, which has caused financial issues for them, especially with the medical debt and a struggling business venture, but somehow they're making it work. The girl I helped get a job was apparently caught in an affair with her boss, who may or may not be married, it's unclear. He threw her under the bus professionally to save himself, but she seems to have landed on her feet because the company wanted to avoid a scandal. Another one of them recently got engaged to his girlfriend. Last I remember, he was single, so I have no idea how long they've been involved. The guy I housed for 3 months is doing fine too, but there's talk that he may have contracted an STD from one of his one-night stands. I have no information on the last guy. So, a mixed bag of good for me and a little bad for them, but nothing terrible, just normal life issues. I guess it's as close as one gets to karmic justice. The last contact I had with my ex was an email 6 months ago. She detailed how sorry she was about the fallout from her actions. She explained that she had fallen in love with him while still loving me and didn't know how to navigate that. It was a rough time for her, as she relied on me so much that it made her resentful, and something about being with him made her feel more in control. She ended the email by expressing regret for the hurt she caused, but said she didn't regret loving me or him. She mentioned that she still loves us both and would always be there if I needed her. I never responded because there was no need. I can understand her perspective. It doesn't mean I condone her actions, but I can somewhat forgive her and move on from this for good. Humans are complex, and so is love. Sometimes, we end up hurting the ones we love the most. While I don't like her or what she did, I believe she truly loved us both. She has no reason to lie about that now. Anyway, c'est la vie. Have a good evening, everyone, and don't spend any energy getting upset on my behalf. Commenter. I think the photo was the right move. It left them all scrambling, sending messages as terrible people trying to save themselves. Not showing your hand probably caused a lot of anxiety, at the very least.
AITA for giving my ring back after my fiancé made a comment to his guy friends regarding why we haven't gotten married. My fiancé and I, both 30, have been together for 8 years and engaged for 4 years. We got engaged right before COVID really hit, and obviously that put a huge halt on any sort of planning, and then from there forward, life events halted it more, became homeless, ended up pregnant and having our child. Now we are back on our feet but not financially where we could be yet. Back roughly 5 months ago, ish, I brought up marriage and basically approached the idea of having a backyard wedding and a potluck. Basically going cheap, because I don't really care so much about the wedding or price or whatever. I just want to wear a pretty dress and have all eyes on me and get married to the love of my life. I don't care about the expensive bells and whistles. When I brought it up, he told me that that wouldn't be a bad idea and that we could probably try planning for July-ish 2025. Okay, but we haven't really talked about it since that point, as other shit came up. Here's the issue though. Back about a month ago we were down to our neighbor's home. People who have grown to be really good friends since we moved here 1.5 years ago. I was hanging out with the neighbor's wife and her best friend. My fiancé was hanging out with a group of 3 to 4 guys, having beers and working on vehicles. Well, one of the guys there was talking about his wife and said once you get married, everything fucking stops. I overheard in the middle of the conversation, so I have no idea what stops during marriage, but it was a negative comment irregardless. But anyways, my fiancé then starts laughing and goes, "That's why I've been dragging my feet on marriage," and the guys just laughed and said, "Don't do it, man. It's a trap, etc., etc." It really hurt me, but I figured it was just locker room talk and tried my best to move on. But like, I couldn't let it go. It sat in the back of my head. So a couple weeks ago I brought up getting married again and just ran some ideas by him on simple things, like what he saw our wedding colors being. And he shut down a bit and said something to the effect of, "I think we need to weigh the pros and cons of being married first," and shut down the conversation. Instant plunge to my gut, honestly. So I walk outside to calm myself down, but I just couldn't shake it honestly. So I went back inside and calmly handed him my ring back and asked him what he wanted for dinner. I didn't want to make a big deal, so there was no yelling, no crying, nothing. I was calm and moved on. But he instantly asked me what I was doing and why I gave the ring back. So I mentioned his comment to his buddies about dragging his feet and now his comments about needing to wait and weigh the pros and cons before going through with anything, and told him I don't want to wait, nor do I want to get my hopes up for a marriage that he's clearly changed his mind about, so I would rather he have the ring back and go into this without the sound of wedding bells in my head. Let's just move on, basically. We can still be together, but I don't want my hopes up. Well, he got extremely defensive. Started saying, "I'm not saying it's not going to happen or you're being extreme for no reason.